Hey guys, so first off I'd like to thank everybody who's been subscribing to the channel, everyone who leaves comments. I love reading your guys' comments and discussing boxing with you, and you know, as long as you guys are civil and you know you're not saying like crazy shit, you know, I don't mind at all taking like an hour or two, you know, to reply to everybody's comments. I actually love talking about boxing. None of my friends like boxing. They're all actually like, they're all kind of nerds. You know, no offense to them, like I'm kind of a nerd too. Like if you got to know me, I do like a lot of but anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's taking the time to watch my videos, like, comment, especially the people who are subscribing, the people who I have normal conversations with throughout the process of all my videos. Yeah, just so thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, and I'm gonna do my best to keep the videos coming. The next video series I'm gonna be working on, I think I'm going to do one on Deontay Wilder for Luis King Kong Ortiz. I'm pretty high on that guy. I haven't done any film study on him yet, but I'm pretty excited to see where he goes. And then, after that, I don't want to do it too soon, you know, but I'm excited as hell for Vasily Lomachenko versus Guillermo Rigondeaux. Oh shit, that's going to be a dope-ass fight. But anyway, first off, this is going to be like a follow-up film study on timing. I did that video right before the fight, right before Gennady Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez, about timing and talking about how he might be able to pick apart Canelo Alvarez's timing. And in the first round, there's a lot of evidence that that was one of his strategies. So as far as film study goes, I did get that part right. I thought that he'd use more control, more forearm control, and he does do a little bit of it in the middle rounds, but for the most part, he made it a really, I'll say, clean fight. But first off, well, second off, you know, credit to HBO for, they own the clips for the fight. My use of the clips for this are for commentary, criticism, and educational purposes, and in no way is it to undermine the rights that HBO has over the fight. But yeah, and sorry about that fucking little bar with the Facebook and the Twitter and that little gremlin dude on there, and then I think that's Google Plus. I don't know what the other one is. I don't know what those two are. I have no idea. But anyway, yeah, so let's get into it. We're going to be talking about timing, and it's the same timing that he used against David Lemieux, and how I showed in the follow-up to that, in the middle of that video, I showed the Canelo part about how Canelo leads on his left leg when he punches. And here we're going to get to take a look at how Golovkin was trying to take advantage of that. So as you see, starting right away, when Canelo looks to lean toward his left leg, Golovkin starts throwing some shots, right? Dips down, puts all his weight on his left leg again right here, and Golovkin shoots a shot. Now, whoops, little freezing right there. Leans on his left leg, right? And as he does that, Golovkin starts putting his glove out there, probing him, right? Probing, gets him to lean on his left leg, and he shoots a jab, right? Probing again. You know, and the reason why he's sticking his glove out like that, that's called probing. You're trying to test your opponent. You know, it's a different kind of feint. You know, if he reacts to it and he's like, gets like kind of jerky motions, you know, and looks like he's about to counter, you know that he's trying to counter your next punch, right? And you can kind of either bait him into countering or bait him away from countering, depending on whether you throw a real punch or you continue probing. But anyway, using his lead hand to, like I said, probe and try to gauge what Canelo's reaction is going to be before firing another jab. Then he leans onto his left leg, and Golovkin shoots another jab at him. Leans on his left leg, and then Golovkin shoots another jab at him. Timing when Canelo usually explodes out of his guard to throw punches. Now moving on, where he goes from there, again, leaning on his left leg, shoots another jab when he starts leaning on that timing. Whoops, the video is like pretty poor. I apologize about that too. So shoots the jab. And now he sees when Canelo is dipping his weight onto his right leg, he knows that that's not a time that Canelo usually throws punches. So he uses that as a way to set up his offense. He knows that he's okay to throw power punches because Canelo doesn't throw shots when he puts his weight on his right leg. So what does Canelo do? What does he do again? He gets him and then times him when he puts all his weight on his right leg again, right? Timing perfectly, catching him on the ropes. Even though he doesn't land that shot, he knows that that's an opportunity for him to throw his power shots. Now, the next opportunity, and that was one of his strategies for this fight, is establishing his jab with the probing, right? Making sure that Canelo's not trying to counter him. Then he establishes his jab, and then after he's established that rhythm, taking advantage of that rhythm to set up his power shots. And now here, he sees that when he throws that shot, Canelo's trying to counter him. So what does he do? Gives him a feint and waits for the counter. Nothing happens. Gives him a probe, and nothing happens. So now what happens? Canelo puts all his weight on his left leg, and Golovkin thinks he's going to execute a punch. So what does Golovkin do? He throws an overhand right, but he walks into kind of an uppercut. And we'll watch that again one more time. So dips to his right, dips to his left, and Golovkin reads that as a punch and tries to throw an overhand right over the top and almost walks into a huge right uppercut from Canelo. Very interesting stuff. And also, that right uppercut, that whole instance right here, I think that kind of predicates the way that rounds 2 and 3 actually go off and wind up, how do you say it? They unfold, how rounds 2 and 3 unfold. But anyway, moving on. Now here we have Canelo and Golovkin in the middle of the ring. And again, Golovkin knows when Canelo's timing is, when he's going to throw punches, when he needs to be ready. And here, whenever Canelo leans his weight on his left leg forward and he's about to throw a punch, Golovkin gets ready. Leans his weight, Golovkin brings his gloves up. Leans his weight, Golovkin brings his gloves up and takes a step forward, right? Look at that little step, how he tries to follow him back. Canelo leans all his weight on his left leg, and Golovkin instinctively moves back. And Canelo now, seeing, again, one more time, leans all his weight on his left leg, and Golovkin dips down to get away from a possible shot. And Canelo realizes, oh, there's no work for me to be had here. There's no opportunity for me to set up a punch, because Golovkin is reading his timing, reading his movements, and knows when he's going to attack, so he's always in position to counter. So Canelo resets and attempts to look for another opportunity. Again, Golovkin reading when Canelo is going to be able to set up his punches and is able to slip. So he goes on the right, then rolls onto his left, right? And Golovkin reads it and is able to get away from that counter. And again, Canelo getting a little antsy because the round is almost over and he hasn't really landed very many punches. So he starts taking little tiny steps, attempting to set up his punches when he leans onto his left leg. And Golovkin knows that it's coming. He's got his guard up, as you can see right here. When he leans forward, Golovkin goes to catch the jab, right? Because he knows that Golovkin, while Canelo is taking these little steps, he's trying to get into his rhythm to throw and set up his punches. So he feints Golovkin out of position, and my video freezes again. Sorry about that. Feints him out of position, and then throws the right hand. And it doesn't look like it lands. It looks like it gets blocked by Golovkin, but it just shows that Gennady Golovkin was very ready for the type of offense that Canelo was bringing. Now, this is really interesting, this series of clips here. So now we've established that there were a lot of opportunities for Golovkin to establish his offense off of Canelo's rhythm and establish his defense off of Canelo's rhythm in the first round. But here's an instance in which Golovkin was really caught off of guard because Canelo is on the ropes. He's not stepping, he's not moving, and he's not dipping his weight onto his legs or onto his left leg. He's just standing there, and he explodes out of his guard and is able to catch Golovkin with a jab right there because it's off timing, it's off rhythm. And Golovkin literally had no idea the punch was coming. And from that, he's able to make him miss wildly with his counter because Golovkin wasn't ready to throw the counter in the first place and then land a body shot. Even though that body shot is really low, right? If you look at it, it lands on the hip, really low punch. But that's not the point. The point is, Golovkin's defense right there was really good. He had his arm by his shot right after throwing the right hand. He was able to block it if it were to have been in a scoring area. But the point of this is not to say that the punch was low. It's the technique that Canelo was using to set up his shots, right? Finding times where Golovkin is not ready for his punches. And here, again, when my video freezes, he's frozen. He's in the middle of the ring and punches again off rhythm right here and is able to catch Golovkin with the jab. He doesn't land any of the follow-up shots because Golovkin has good defense in spite of what everyone thinks. But he does land this jab because of the fact that it's off rhythm, it's off timing, and Golovkin's not expecting it. And then immediately after that exchange, Canelo goes right back to his original rhythm and leans on his left leg and starts getting picked apart by Triple G's jab. Now, this is also really interesting. So now we've seen instances where Golovkin is able to fight off of Canelo's rhythm and timing, and now this is an instance where Canelo is actually fighting off of the rhythm that he's giving Golovkin. He hasn't found any opportunity to really punch or land clean, effective punches because Golovkin has always been ready for his shots. But one thing that he has noticed is that when Golovkin does commit to that jab in the center of the ring off of that timing, there aren't any follow-up punches because he's not at the moment looking for counters because Canelo hasn't been giving them to him. So he gets Golovkin to shoot the jab off of his own rhythm, even though it lands, right? And it does land. He knows that Golovkin is not ready for counters or for him to punch off rhythm, and is able to land that punch, land this jab, and then land that right hand through the guard, taking advantage of his own rhythm and timing, or taking advantage of his opponent's knowledge of his own rhythm and timing to set up his own shots. Brilliant. Very, very, very intelligent boxing right there from Canelo. Now, this is also really interesting, too. And I'm not sure if this is my last clip or not. But here you have Canelo in the center of the ring, right, near the end of the first round. And he leans forward. And now he leans back. And as he's leaning back, he shoots that jab off rhythm and off timing. And he's able to catch Triple G off guard with the jab because of the fact that it's off of that rhythm. Again, beautiful boxing, very intelligent stuff from Canelo right there. Anyway, that's it for this film study of round one of the tactics that each fighter is employing and looking to mount on the other opponent, and another look at the timing of Golovkin and how important it is for his offense and the strategy that he culminates for his fights. That is a really interesting wrinkle. How he utilizes timing to fight his opponents, and why he might have had so much trouble with Danny Jacobs, because Danny Jacobs, doesn't have a very specific timing. Why it might have looked, whereas Brook had a very specific timing. It was basically as soon as he got to the line, and Golovkin would meet him on the line, he would throw punches. And why this first round, in my opinion, was. Although it could go either way, there were some fancy traps, that Canelo set, like that one that I showed you, where he fights off of the rhythm established by Golovkin or established by his own rhythm, however you want to look at it, and countering off the ropes, even though the punch was low. It's super hard to tell when you're watching it live. Oh, was that low? Was that on the belt line? Was that, whatever. It's very difficult. But anyway, very interesting and very tactical fight fought by both fighters. And this is only round one. I expected there to be a lot more changes and developments. And to be honest, I'm kind of curious whether or not the fact that Canelo was falling behind or not was because of the fact that he got tired, or if it was because Triple G was making adjustments. Because as the fight goes on, I think that Golovkin relied on this timing to learn about Canelo less and less, and he was able to open up more and more. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I know I got a lot of criticism for my last video because it came out so close to the actual fight that people thought that I was putting up the actual fight highlights and stuff. So they showed up and they looked at it and they were like, man, this guy's full of shit, he's a clickbaiter or whatever. But anyway, sorry about that. Even though I don't know that it's exactly my fault if you can't read the date, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, thanks guys.